Welcome back to All G's, sometimes All G's React, and today we're going to be talking about Back the Blue over Black Lives Matter.
This is a good subject.
Yeah. Hey, some of y'all may not, the way this conversation may go, because I'm not going to say, it may not even be unique, but I just akin certain things to things I've seen before. So my perspective may be a little different than what you may have heard, but I'm gonna let my man take off because I know he loves this subject right here.
How y'all doing today? I am Sir Cash, and this subject it's pretty deep, and it's not deep based off of what's mainstream media. It's gonna be a little bit heavier because hopefully I can bring some insight to what it is. By now, everybody should know there's a difference between Black Lives Matter, the corporation, and Black Lives Matter, the actual statement. That's
hopefully.
Hopefully. There's the corporation. The corporation is ran by people who might have the same skin tone as me, who might say they have the same struggles as me, but they don't have the same outcome as me. They don't want the same outcome as me. It's already been over the news. The woman who was running Black Lives Matter bought some big old mansion in California, put all her family on, collected a lot of money from essentially guilty white people. Essentially, corporations use it as a tax write-off because it's like, well, I donated to this organization, so I ain't got to put money in. It's easy for corporations to do that. And then guilty white people who felt like they might have seen Roots or they seen Detroit, the movie that came out or whatever, and they felt guilty, and it's like, oh my God, this is what happens to all black people. And then they donated. And then, of course, that corporation, they didn't look at people like, me or the actual struggle or even the towns that were destroyed that had Black Lives Matter riots in and gave back to us like, hey, we heard that this family lost a U-Haul company. I think that actually happened in Kenosha after one of the pew-pews up there. We'll just keep it YouTube safe.
Yeah.
And Black Lives Matter didn't come in and like spread out some money and try to rebuild companies that actually lost stuff that was even black owned. They didn't come out there. They was worried about themselves. So we're gonna hopefully go from this point knowing the difference corporation and the movement and what came out of Black Lives Matter that was the direct response to that was Blue Lives Matter. So let's talk about what is Blue Lives Matter. Well, it's nothing. It's nothing. There's no such thing as a blue life because you didn't see what would be considered like a paramedic. Is a paramedic considered you can't say white life. Would you say
no, they're a different line. You have the blue line?
Yeah.
Somehow, everybody got a line.
So the firefighters would be red line.
They're the red line.
Yeah.
I think the paramedics may be like yellow line or something like that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Yeah, but everyone got a line.
Right.
Out of this.
Right. So, really, I think that it was the response to the Blue Lives Matter when people started saying that it was really people who were bootlickers. People who just love cops. And I actually don't have a problem with a cop. We actually have a very, very close friend who's a local cop in town. So there is...
Nick?
Yeah, what up, bro? There is no problem with the police that in general, I'm not going to look at the police as a whole and be like, no, I don't want that. Because you know why? Because my mom stays, by herself. If something happens, I tell my mom to call the police. I need the police to actually be there and protect my mom while I get there. If you're not with your family right now, if you have somebody who's elderly or you got a child who might be there on their own, they need to call the police. You want to be able to trust the police to go and do their job and not come harm them. Now, it seems like today's media, anything that happens with a black person gets amplified a lot. Police have a lot of interactions a day. They got to deal with not only like the crazy people, the people who might be mentally unstable, drug overdoses, schizophrenic, all that other stuff. So there's a lot of things that police have to deal with. So I'm not necessarily faulting them. My son at one point wanted to be a police officer. He's essentially changed that idea, not because of views of the public, but because he just wanted a different career path. He wants to do more sports and stuff like that. So that's hopefully we can get that out the way because we need to kind of get more deeply rooted into the subject of Black Lives versus Blue Lives Matter and all that other stuff. Here's one thing that I wanted to say before you get started.
Go ahead.
Black folks been telling you the police been corrupt for God knows how long.
I knew it.
We've been telling y'all the police have been corrupt for a long time. Not when it just comes to us. Not like don't even try to get political and everything that's been happening with. Documents got found with Trump. Documents got found with Biden. Yeah. The FBI is corrupt. Who has been putting this in music for God knows how long? You can pull up any old rap album. It talks about how blacks and the police was selling drugs together. This isn't nothing new.
It ain't nothing new.
It's just hit mainstream now. We've been telling y'all a lot of the police in certain areas have been corrupt. You can almost expect New York, L.A., just big Florida. You can expect big coastal towns that probably have a drug issue to have corrupt police because you know why? It's about money.
Yes.
But that's where I'll pause right now. But I'm gonna definitely get back to that.
Yeah, it's true though. Like that's big facts, right? Like it's been said over and over and over and over and over and over again. Don't trust them. Don't trust these people. Don't do this. Don't do that. And it's not that we're saying that this young rookie or whatever, we're not like be like, oh, he's corrupt. You know what I'm saying? We're just saying the core of the organization has problems and issues. Mm-hmm. That's what that means. Mm-hmm. Okay, we can say that about our government. The core of the organization has problems. Yeah. Has corruption. Okay, you know that doesn't mean that I don't know. We just pick some little small representative of some small town. He may not be corrupt, but we're just talking about the core of it. Mm. So, when it comes to Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter, or I always like to say back to police, back to blue, because that's real popular around here. Mm-hmm. Back to blue. They're slogans. At the core, that's what they are. Mm-hmm. They are just mainly meant to pull on your heartstrings with something simple and catchy. Mm-hmm. It should be a no-brainer that mine, my kids, his kids are lesser value because of their skin color. Mm-hmm. It should be known that makes no sense, right? But when you say something like Black Lives Matter, right? That's catchy. Of course my life matters. I pay taxes. I do this. I do that. I do this. It's easy to grab people with that. Mm-hmm. Now, when Back to Blue came or whatever, I am going to immediately say I first thought it was just something created by like some racist people, like some neo Nazis. I gotta start separating it so you know, because YouTube, whatever. Mm-hmm. Because their symbol was removing the color out of the flag, making it black and white.
Yeah.
And then just putting a blue line.
I see what you said.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So on me first seeing that, I was like, some, Nazi created that and put it out there, and now everyone's just grabbing a hold of it or whatever, right? Because especially in your more southern states, they love the whole idea of like rebel here. Mm-hmm. Love it. They love every single bit of it. So that's something I can see easily being grabbed up and then put on cars and put on lawns and things of that nature.
Somebody made money off of that. Merchandise. Somebody's making money off of that.
It didn't go to the cops though. I can tell you that much. It didn't go to them. So you have to learn how to separate the idea versus, like he said, corporation. Mm-hmm. I have a video. I may even go back and put it up when I was listening to the Hodge twins or whatever. Hodge twins talk about, Black Lives Matter or whatever. I said it in the video. The idea of Black Lives Matter should be a no-brainer. Of course, people of color lives matter. Okay? And it shouldn't be any less based off of skin color. Now, if you ask me, hey, do you support Black Lives Matter? I'm going to say, yeah, the idea. Because I'm separating the idea versus .inc, .com, you know what I'm saying, .org corporation. Because no, I do not support that simply because I ain't seen no social plan set up by them to make any good changes.
Yeah.
Zero. Where's the home office?
Why don't you explain what home office is?
Basically, home office is where you can go when there's a corporation to go, and then you can have access to this corporation. Home office.
Exactly. Where's it at?
Where that at?
It's extinct. It was never the plan.
It was never the plan.
Never the plan.
Now, before we get into that, because I don't want to, because I know Black Lives Matter people come in here and be like, oh, but yes, we can go look at a lot of charities and say, let's look at your books, and there's probably a lot of money missing.
I think that woman just got indicted for either tax evasion or she's under fire from the government itself.
Yeah.
Now, a couple things that you brought up that I wanted to hit on. Not only when you talked about Blue Lives Matter. When Blue Lives Matter started, for me, when I heard about Blue Lives Matter, to me, it was somebody who was like, you know what? Because we all know, or we've heard of that type of woman who's like, well, if you guys will just obey the law, you wouldn't do this and stuff like that. So Blue Lives Matter was the super Karen. Like, I believe with the cops because I watched the video. And if you guys would have had home manners, you would have did this, you would have do that. That's why Blue Lives Matter. That's where I saw that coming in at. And it was more kind of like, woman, shut up. Or God, shut up. And honestly, if you're supposed to be, let's just say patriotic and America first, and you know, I'm very patriotic myself, but isn't one of the things of being patriotic is not to destroy the flag or change the colors of the flag? You're not supposed to change the colors of the flag. You know, people put the little Punisher symbol on and be like, yeah, Blue Lives Matter. First of all, the Punisher, you have no idea about comics. You have no idea. The person who's probably, let's just say, wiped the most cops out is probably the Punisher. The Punisher almost specifically went after corrupt cops. That doesn't make sense. Stop using comic book symbolism to use it to where it's like, yeah, we believe in that.
You see the hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's super hypocrisy. And people use that. It's almost a divide and conquer situation. You know, you got these people over here who's marching, who's mad, and then you got these people over here who believe anything that the cops say. But you can only go so far with believing what the cops say because the higher up that you see with local police, and then you start talking to state, and then you start talking to government. You say like there's like a level of corruption. So what didn't come out of, let's just start with Blue Lives Matter. What didn't come out of Blue Lives Matter was really accountability, because everybody likes to say, you know what, there's one bad apple. It's just a bad apple. You know what, if there's 10 police officers and one does something bad, but the other 9 saw that the one person did something bad, guess what? They all stick together. Once again, I said like in black music, a lot of gangster East or West Coast music talked about how the cops were just gangsters with a badge.
Yeah.
The same type of people. There's the no snitching. You think if a cop goes in there and he sees some cops doing some other bad stuff, oh, he goes and tells the supervisor what's going on. You think the other cops are going to be cool with him? Or they might take him to an area and something happens to him and then it's like, hey man, we don't know what happened. It's been, I remember reading a story about that where there was a cop who turned on a group of cops in New York. All of a sudden he went to some crime, he didn't make it out. So there's a perfect show that came on years ago that talked about the corruption of cops. It was called The Shield.
I never watched that.
The Shield was one of the best shows that talked about corrupt cops. Matter of fact, it's in all the movies. Everybody has this notion that, the Blue Lives Matter people believe that because a person puts on a badge and goes out there and does their job, like it's their job to make it home safe. No, it's my job because you have become a public servant, not a public executioner. You're a public servant. So when you decide, you know what, I'm going to put my life in harm's way because I believe in the greater good of the public, doesn't mean that we don't want you to go home. Of course, I want Nick to come home to his family,
right?
You know, because he has people who loves him.
Yep.
But he also knows that he made a step to go out there and put his life on the line. So there is no such thing as a blue life to me. You know what I'm saying? Because there's black police officers. There's white police officers. Right. Everybody, I don't want to deviate too far, but they talk about the border and all this stuff that's happening with the border and all these illegals coming in. Guess what? 90% of border agents are all Hispanic.
Yep.
They're all Hispanic. So you can't call those people racist because they're doing this, doing that. No, you can't do that. So I'm definitely, I wouldn't say pro-police, but I'm not anti-police. They're a necessary thing in order for our society to work. That has to be set forth there.
Yeah.
Now, on the Black Lives Matter end, we've already been saying, we already should know where our lives matter into public. But at the same time, we're dealing with not only this generation, our past generation, our grandma's generation, and most of, right now I'm about 37. Man, I'm getting old when you have to think about it.
Ooh, wow.
So grandparents are dying out. So so generally they say 50s when your parents start passing out. When you hit 50, that's when your parents start going. So right now we're in the generation our generation, our grandparents are passing away. Our grandparents have had a way different interaction with the police than what we have today. You know why? Because today we can record that. Back in the day, we didn't have no say so.
Nope.
Because we would say, no, we saw Tobias over there getting beat by Tom.
Yeah.
And then, what? No, we don't believe that, Brown Hill.
That didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen. You best to get to moving.
Yeah.
Those stories were passed to us. And black folks been telling you about things that's been happening when it comes to the police and corruption and things of that nature. We've been saying that. Hollywood picks it up and monetizes it.
Yep.
But then what happens today is something happens so horrific to where it's kind of like, oh, we need a slogan. And somebody is going to capitalize off of that.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's going to always capitalize off of somebody else's pain. And so that's essentially what has happened. So then that divided that, and then that works in both ways for the Blue Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter people. Because the Blue Lives Matter people will immediately point to the corporation, see like, you guys are scammers, your movement isn't real, you guys are just grifters and yada, 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 all while they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But then it puts the people who are really about Black Lives Matter like, we can't catch a break because we got these scamming people over here messing everything up for us.
Yep, and the news is going to focus on the negative.
Absolutely.
The most, okay.
Absolutely.
That's just facts. We stay like 10 minutes away from a place that is like one of the biggest stories of like corruption for a city.
Yeah.
We 15 minutes from it.
Yeah.
We just hop on the highway and go down there. No problem. Okay? No convictions. Generational wealth lost. That history is deep here.
It wasn't even taught. I went to school here. I went to school to where, let's just say, one of the biggest things that's happened to a huge black community was essentially kind of like cleaned off the map. Just cleaned off. So I went to elementary, public schools, and I didn't go to college. I didn't do all that. And I didn't learn about it until, 23? I maybe learned about it maybe in 2009, 10. Almost like it didn't even happen.
I learned about it probably before you did, but that's because I would go to a girl who was deep into history, like in general, and she the one who told me about it when she was braiding my hair. I was like, for real? But here's the flip point though. A major event happened in Arkansas, where I grew up, and I didn't learn about it until I was almost 30. They burned an entire building was caught on fire, and it was like a minor detention center or whatever, and it was for black people, for black boys back in the day. Burnt up, killed them. Never knew anything about that. And I lived probably like 45 minutes from that place.
Wow.
So it's these things when we talk about the corruption and things like that. Like this is not like no like fairy tale. This is real deal stuff.
Right. And
these people got away scot-free with doing it because of the way the laws were set up, the people who ran the laws, the people who enforced the laws, that type of thing. Those type of things happen. Once these came about, it was like, oh no, you can't. Look what he doing. Look what he doing.
Game changers.
Game changers. That changed it all. See what I'm saying?
You can't control the narrative with the newspaper no more when you have firsthand footage. And so when you have that firsthand footage, it changes everything, which is why when you start seeing different districts of police officers that are trying to get these banned or police be like, back up, you can't be that close. Like, no, this is First Amendment right. And out of everything that I said, I want to make sure to reiterate this about me and my position. I 100% believe that there are corrupt police officers that have done bad things to our people. I mean, I've had the talk with my boys and stuff like that. Just like I would have a talk with, if I coach some other boys on football. Hey, this is how you interact with the police, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter about their skin tone because you don't know, because some men are always on the edge.
Yeah.
They put on the badge. They barely made it through. Like the little police academy. Some police officers, and it's not. I guess I don't want to go too tangent, but I want to say this one thing: the qualifications for being a cop is not a standard. It's not a standard.
It's low.
It's very low. A woman here in Tulsa got involved in a shooting, and is it alright to say Tulsa?
Sure.
Okay. A woman in Tulsa got involved in a shooting, and she was found not guilty. But the Tulsa Police Department let her go. Well, guess what? She just went to the next county and got another job. And then she left that job and went to the next county.
Yep.
My thing is that Black Lives Matter should have been pushing for, we need to have some standardized tests that's around the nation. Because if we give you, because we're always supposed to have the Second Amendment available to all of us, but we know that in every state, open carry or concealed carry isn't available.
Right.
So if a police officer, or if a person who might be on the edge, who's already been terminated from one police agency, can go to another, we need something standardized to where, because let's just say you can't get kicked out of the Army and then jump to the Navy. You can't get dishonorably discharged from the Army and then like, hey, I'm going to go to the Navy. Like, no, you're done. You're done. Something should have been done to where a database to where it's like, okay, this is going to go on your file. And this is going to be reflected to where every police department said, oh, no, you had too many complaints out there in Dallas, and you can't come up here to New York with those same complaints because we already know that you're a problem. Mm-hmm. But, it always starts from the cop, the supervisor, yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of what I wanted to get on.
We can't get into the conversation of like the militarization of the police, because that's like a very, very long conversation that will not fit. We'll be here for like an hour or more. So, but
Busted Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Get the chairs.
Yeah.
Light it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can't do that. But I will say this. When I say, so let's just put it like this. If I say, if I ruled the world, right? This is how I would do certain things, right? Mm-hmm. If I ruled the world and I was over Black Lives Matter, I would have treated Black Lives Matter like the CIA. It wouldn't have been no marching in those streets, trying to get no attention, because that don't do anything, okay? We are like, put you like this. My dad went and saw Martin Luther King. Okay? And he's up in the 70s. You feel me? So the continued marching in the street, it don't get nothing done. But what does get things done is data collection. That gets things done very, very well. And that's how I would have treated Black Lives Matter. It would have been a data collection. I would have got access to all these social medias. And so let's just say you have a cop who has one too many complaints filed against him of excessive force, maybe even killed the person, right? Mm-hmm. If I go into your social medias and see that you've cracked maybe 59 racist jokes, we have an issue.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Same thing with a judge. If we have a judge and this judge is doling out time for same crimes, but he's like, Hispanic people getting like way more crimes than like these people getting time, I mean, way more time for their crimes. Mm-hmm. And I can go into your social medias and I see you have a nice little paper trail of how you feel about these people. Mm-hmm. That's how I would have treated it. That's how you get rid of, because now you have people who may be, racist, doing this.
Right. You don't know who you can trust.
Right. And so when you say you want to be an ally, like they say, the white ally, you have access to all these groups, to these Reddits, to these 4chans or whatever. You have access to this stuff. You see what I'm saying? That's how you can really be an ally is, oh, look, he post this, post that, post this, post that, post that. He done this, done that. Like, that's how I would have treated Black Lives Matter. Like, it would have had people looking over the shoulder. Because that's how you fight it, to me. That's how you fight something that's so deeply embedded to where people be like, okay, I can't even, I want to send this meme, but you know what? I'm a police chief. I'm a mayor. I'm a this. I'm a that. Always make people think about their position before they just do something. That's how you can cause that. Now, for the police situation, if I ruled the world, again, with police, you're going to carry your own personal insurance. Your items of your job do not go home with you. They stay. That's your interceptor. That's your service weapon. That's your service weapon.
Vest.
Your vest. All that stays where you work. I don't take welding machines home. I don't do none of that. All that stays there. You get into a situation and you use your own personal weapon, that is on you.
Yeah, because most cops have their own weapons anyway.
Yeah, they have their own anyway.
Yeah, so they're very knowledgeable about the law, what they cannot carry, and yada yada yada. You just can't run home and be like, hey man, I got the cruiser at the house. Because even when you're off duty, we as the public don't know you're off duty.
Don't know at all.
Don't know if you're off duty at all. So it's kind of like,
nothing.
Yeah, leave that at the parking lot.
Yep, you leave that there. So because what that's going to do is, for those who, on the edge, you ain't protected when you are in this Seville. You ain't protected when you're in this Seville. So you're going to have to think about your actions and the consequences of those actions. Because of that.
That over anti-cop can't go to Walmart and low-key intimidate people like, oh, is he on the... We don't know if you're on the clock or not. You can't just be like, hey, walking up to people, and we don't know if you're working or not, because that's actually a really good point. You keep that separate.
You keep all that separate.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it. Because then there'll be drug tests.
Oh, yeah.
Real ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Everybody always knows. I mean, people work out. I have no problem people work out. But everybody seems to know that one cop that seems to be a little too swole. A little too, like, yeah, I'm with the drug task force. A little too rockish, as I say. You know what I'm saying? Like, boulderish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because we don't know what type of, I'm sure, it's not consistent. That's the problem. When it comes to policing and policies, it's nowhere near consistent. Because you can have small, let's just say Mobile, Alabama, or just even very, very small towns that might have 5, 6 cops or whatever. Sheriff can let the cops do whatever. Deputies is his cousins or whatever.
Yeah.
And they can just do whatever. It's nothing standardized.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying by that's these things that I would implement just simply because okay, so let's say you're on perks or something like that. You're a police officer. That stuff causes you could have shot somebody because of that. Not because and then what's going to be the excuse is going to be, oh, I thought he had a weapon, or I feel fear for my life. When in reality, you're on a drug that's that's chemically changing you. You see what I'm saying? They could be like, oh, I got my ID. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just that quick, when they just reaching for their wallet to show you the ID. But you're on something that is chemically changing you. So, real drug test is something else I would do. And I'm like, oh, this list kind of long here, buddy. Drug rehab, if you can't beat that, then you got to be off the force.
All right.
So I'm not saying we need to get rid of cops.
Oh,
Not at all.
Not at all.
I'm saying these changes should be made because then you bring in more accountability. You want one. So that's what I would do with police.
One thing I wanted to hit back on what you said, if you rule Black Lives Matter, what would you do? It's the same thing the Black Panthers should have done. I mean, the Black Panthers were doing. It's community organizing.
Yep.
And it's all of a sudden voting. When it comes to a lot of people, not even black people, but a lot of people in communities don't understand the power of who can be voted out. You can recall judges. If you was to pull a list of these judges and these judges have all these, these sentences seems to go a lot higher to black and Mexicans or whatever people, whatever, or even people across just a certain line. Like if you live above this street up in this north side of town, your sentences seem to be longer, but people who stay in like this street,
south,
seem to not. What's going on? Hey, let's go ahead and recall this judge. It doesn't take too much. Even the thought of a judge, somebody who's in power, who might be power tripping, having the thought of, hey, they're organizing to recall you. And if that starts spreading enough, you will lose your position of power. And once your position of power is lost, then you're done, because it's like, oh man, they took it from me. Because nobody's going to vote for you again, because it's like, no, they're toxic.
Yeah.
It takes very strong action or little action to get the community organized. But once you do and you get that ball rolling, like, hey, if you don't like that prosecutor, let's just get them recalled.
Yep.
And if you get somebody recalled, then that puts other people on notice. Hey, we elect sheriffs. Oh, boom, we can get this sheriff recalled.
Well, let me tell you something. This is one thing that people don't really realize, but you have to understand it. Since me and him drive all over the place, all over the city, so we see the different sides of this city. You will see way more election signs in the southern part of this city versus the north side of the city. You will see way more. So they're not putting them signs out on this side. They don't want you to even know, hey, there's an election coming up for this position or for this person. You know what I'm saying?
And if they do, it's really because they want to send somebody who looks like us to that town. Be like, hey, there's yada, yada, yada. Hey, y'all vote for this person because this person keeps it real. Not without doing no research. Without doing no research. You're just looking at the skin of the person. You listen to what they say. And then, I would say that they're getting the ignorant vote. And ignorance it's not skin tone. Ignorance is just a mindset of anybody. Anybody can be ignorant.
Oh, yes.
So you can have, whites, blacks, Hispanics, all ignorant, Asians, all ignorant people.
Yep.
So it's not limited to one group of people, but it's very true. The people with we want this influence. We know we'll get more influence from this side, that side. We ain't even worried about it. We might send a liaison up there, yada, yada, yada.
They drop some in front of some businesses, but I'm talking about like, you see them in yards, you see them everywhere, like southern part and back, everywhere. You see people hopping out, sticking them on the corners, all that type of stuff. When I'm out north, I hardly ever see any signs from the same people. And it's just because there's just one of them things of, that's the real weapon they've used against, like you said, all ignorant people. Because I can drive through the trailer parks and ain't no signs there either.
There's some Blue Lives Matter flags. There's some flags out there, but that's pretty much it. There's that slogan, or you might see a sheriff. The police might hit that area. A sheriff might hit that area real hard, or whatever, or a judge. Like, okay, that's my demographic of people. So I'll vote for Sheriff McCaffrey. You know what I'm saying? So we'll hit that area.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
That's just that's the real weapon used, is the ignorance part. Is like, you don't know. You think a person has that job, they just have that job or whatever. No, you can remove that police chief. You can get these people out of here if you really wanted to do that. But because you don't know, you don't take that type of action, and then you spend your afternoon walking in the streets with signs and stuff like that, and that's not doing anything but impeding traffic. Yeah,
that doesn't help. I'm sorry. Closing down traffic and like marching in traffic is like, dude, you're just making enemies out of the people who's trying to go from A to B. And guess what? Guess what? There's all sorts of different people in that traffic. It ain't just one group of people. If you stand in front of a big old semi that you have no idea what's going on, and you're like, hey, we're marching because this person got it. Like, dude, get on the sidewalk. Move. I'm trying to get back. It's not like I'm ignorant to what's going on, but I still have a job to do. My whole life can't stop because that happened. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that I don't care. You have no idea if that same person that you're blocking in traffic might have even donated to the same cause that you're supporting, but you're just making a ruckus of it. And then, of course, that ruckus is always going to attract people who's always kind of like the anarchists, like, you know what, let's just go ahead and get this started. We got to pop on off. Yep. And then the police are sometimes told to stand down, and it's like, okay, now here comes the news cameras, and it's like, lights, camera, action. It seems like it's click. It's a program. And guess what? You know who's going to be at home? You're going to have, let's just say, you got the nice rich couple down south, and they're just kind of looking and be like, a black dude gets killed, and all of a sudden all these people start rioting. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not voting for anybody with those type people, because those people, it enforces stereotypes. That's all that it does. When you start doing stuff like that, it starts enforcing stereotypes.
This is why I want y'all to get out of the streets. You don't realize how easy it is for your crowds to be manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy. What I like to do is anything that I think that's high, I bring it down low. What I mean is I bring it to my level. Think about it like this. You are a gun owner, like a gun shop owner, right? Mm-hmm. You want your sales to increase. It's very easy for you to pay 2 or 3 people $200 a piece to be in that crowd, start cracking windows and all this different type of stuff, and then you can sit there and say, this is why you need to have guns, this is why you need to have this is why you need to have that, and then your sales shoot up in your shop because of that situation. That's very easy to do. That is so easy to do. In fact, during some of the riots, when they like caught some of the dudes or whatever, they worked at the stores that they was in there busting glass and stuff out of.
Let's get that insurance. If you have the right insurance. Right. You know, you got to play the insurance game.
Right.
Like, hey, do you have right insurance?
Yeah, exactly.
Man, why is right insurance going up? Oh, okay. Well, hey, man, business is being rough right now. Hey, bro, there's about to be a Black Lives Matter ride around here.
Here it goes.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out.
Hey, get the new guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this, it's easy manipulated. So if you stop getting into the streets and you start getting into them vote booths to get these people out of here, that's how you actually get things done.
You have to play the game, the real game. There's a manipulation game, but then you have to play the real game. You know, everybody's like, you know, the stereotype is white people rule the world. Then why not learn the white man's game? And then once you understand it's not the white man's game, it's just the money game.
It's the game.
It's just the game. It's not necessarily tied to white people. It's just the money game. Because once you start getting higher up, it seems to get less about race. It starts to get more about money. Because guess what? There's a gap between the billionaires and the millionaires. You best believe, you know, you think Elon Musk looking at some millionaire being like, we're at the same table? No, we're not. We're not at the same table. Even between like 10 million and 1 million, or 1 million and, you know, 500,000 or 500, just how people even are. It's the game, and you have to understand the game and the manipulation of it.
It's called rich ignorance. I can use Donald Trump as an example for rich ignorance, right? He was talking about reducing benefits, right? But the people on his side had to tell him that most of your supporters get those benefits. And he didn't know that. And I 100% believe he didn't know that.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah, we should reduce food stamps. Oh, a lot of poor white people get food stamps who are your supporters. You get what I'm saying? And he was like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, shocked, like, huh?
There's poor whites.
What?
there's poor whites? What? Yes. Yes.
That's rich ignorance. I call it rich ignorance. When you're in a particular place, your mind don't even go to a particular point for certain things. You get what I'm saying? So for him, that's a shocker. Like, really? What? But that's how it is. There's that difference. So that's why I want y'all out of the streets, because it ain't doing nothing. It's getting some of y'all locked up. It's getting businesses destroyed. Local businesses, by the way, which if you want to fight corporate power, you want local businesses, but that's another different video. Get out of the streets. Okay? Yeah. Get out of the streets.
Understand your politics. Understand the real manipulation that's going on. You want to really put the fear on somebody, you make sure that you start organizing against them, not harassing them. Not harassing, because you're not going to get nowhere harass people. You're not going to cancel somebody. The only way you can cancel their job if they've been voted in is to have them recalled and voted out. At least even putting the fear of them is how you get it done. One thing you also spoke on is, what would you do with the police, you know, if you had control over the police? Let's bring back like some type of like fitness test. You know what I'm saying? Because we see too many cops. You know, I'm not the fittest dude in the world. By no means. I ain't trying to fat shame anybody. But some people do not need to be police officers at all, just based off of fitness itself. You know why? Because it can just be easier to be like, ugh. You know what I'm saying? Instead of actually, I remember talking to somebody close, and he was talking about how they need to offer some type of hand-to-hand combat training for police officers, so they're not always so quick to be like, you know, hey, I'm afraid. Doesn't mean we want the police stomping out people. Doesn't mean, but if you're in a physical altercation, breaking up a bar fight, last thing you need to do is just be come in there with drunk people, guns a-blazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
there was a cop in New York who, dude was like, if you ain't had that badge, you know what I'm saying, what I would do to you. And then he was like, really? You know what I'm saying?
I remember seeing that video.
See that?
Yeah.
And he told the other cop who was going to put cuffs on him, he said, no.
Yeah, don't cuff him up.
Don't cuff him. And let him go. They threw hands. They got rid of him. I'm like, I would rather have that type of cop because he stuck to his word.
They got rid of him.
Yeah, he stuck to his word. Like, oh, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And whoop dude, and it was like, yeah, all right, you can go home now. you can go home now.
And honestly, that guy would have more respect in the streets than the other dude.
Yes, because they gonna be like, hey, Officer Lopez whoop. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gonna clown you, and then they gonna be like, this dude stuck to his word. That's real. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's how you do that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Tell us what you think down below in the comment section. Man, don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep my comment section as open as possible, but YouTube does like censor certain things. So if your stuff don't pop up, maybe you used too strong of a word. Find a replacement.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for me. I'm Nixon.
I'm Sir Cash.
And we out.
Peace.